peace and hope and love. Where do I find it in this crazy old world? I need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab.
Oh, we need them. Yeah, we need those strategies. Those strategies for living. So are you ready? You ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
You know what? Give me just a minute. I gotta go regulate for a minute.
Well.
Then I'll be ready.
It's interesting that you would say that, because that is exactly what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, you don't say.
I do say.
Okay.
Hey, folks, welcome. Welcome into another edition of Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillian, and she is the regulated psychotherapist, POPC, Lauren Leon McMillian. You regulated yet?
Yeah, I'm about that.
Okay, all right. So thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Strategies. And, you know, why are we chatting about what we happen to be chatting about here at the first of the program? Well, being able to calm yourself down is a skill that all of us need, every single one of us. So here's the deal. Self-soothing helps us take a pause, take a time out before reacting.
Right. It's the sacred pause.
Yes,
right?
yes. And so it helps us to avoid impulsive decisions and respond actually more thoughtfully when we are in stressful situations or we're in uncertain situations. And I tell you, it is, and we'll get into this today, it is so important.
It's really the way that we reclaim the power that's inherently ours.
That's right. Every single person, you're absolutely right. Every single person listening to us right now, every single one is a powerful human being. And every single one probably has far more power than they claim for themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
And one of the things that keeps us giving away our power is reactivity and not being able to take those healthy pauses. We're going to talk about how to do that today on Strategies for Living. Folks, thank you. Thank you for being here with us, and we appreciate our sponsors who make it all possible. The Robinson Film Center and Azalea Cleaners and Pintail Roofing and Learning RX, We Train Your Brain. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of The Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage, pretty good muffies too, SRT Sales Training, Uprising, Addiction Center, and Mira, Direct Primary Care. Self-soothing. It's very, very important that we understand how to do this. We're talking about it today, right here on Strategies for Living.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you want to holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there. Looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
And welcome in to Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian. It's okay. I'm soothed. He can sing strategies any way he wants.
Actually,
I'm just glad he's singing.
Actually, that's a great self-soothing exercise, is to sing or hum.
You mean you did. I didn't do it, but you're saying that he did it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I'm peeved because you're giving him all the credit. That's okay. I'll go self-soothe.
Okay.
All right. So, here's the point with the self-soothing thing. And, we're all in relationships.
Right.
Right? Some of us are in very important relationships. So we are in marriages or other relationships. We're parents, so we've got kids.
Well, and I want to add here that I think what not many of us were taught as children how to self-soothe.
You're right.
And we learned ways to self-soothe either inappropriately or unhealthily.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
like,
so,
for instance, okay, one unhealthy thing that people do to self-soothe.
self-soothe.
I'm going to pour myself a drink.
Yep. Or
So-
smoke.
Or
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm not here pronouncing judgment,
No.
but so pour yourself a drink if you want to, but just understand that you're putting, if it's alcohol, let's just say, you might say, well, it's just a glass of wine or two or three. It's just a beer or two or three. I'm not drinking the hard stuff. Well, soft stuff or hard stuff, it's still going through, being processed through your liver, and it's like pouring some poison in there, and a little bit your liver can handle.
Yeah.
But if you use it over and over and over, that could be a problem.
Yeah, and another one I think we've developed recently is scrolling.
Okay.
Scrolling on social media can be a way that we are self-soothing, but it's really not a great thing for our health at all.
Right.
In any form of
And some of us say to ourselves or to somebody else, well, if you would just ... fill in the blanks, right? But here's the truth. None of us need other people to do anything. And especially not to soothe us.
But again,
it's self-soothing.
But again, I think that goes back to a lot. It's kind of a shared core wounding for all of us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That we didn't have someone as a child to help us to co-regulate, to help us to learn and sit by us while we learned what this self-soothing was about and how we could go about calming and regulating our own nervous system. Right?
Yeah.
And so we continually look for that non-existent present.
Right. So self-soothing helps us. And you anytime, think of any time that you get stressed or you get, you have pressure situations. I think most everybody listening has, sometime during a week, maybe for a lot of us, sometime during a day.
I would, yeah.
You have uncertainty. You're having a long day. It's just dragging. And if you know how to calm yourself down without relying on external measures, then that can make the difference between, being gentle with ourselves and containing the flames of stress and anxiety, and going into a complete spiral. I mean, I would much rather be gentle and contain. I mean, there's some stress that you can't get away from, right?
Yeah, sure.
But you can learn how to deal with it.
You can learn how to ride the waves and to manage it in a healthier way.
Yes.
And to allow the nervous system to return to its baseline state, right? Instead of staying stuck in that chaotic loop of fight, flight, or freeze.
Right. Now, I know that if you haven't done this before, some of the things that you're going to hear us talk about today might seem, that's impossible. It also might seem, that's too easy, but
it makes a big difference.
Self-soothing doesn't have to be complicated.
No.
And so, and it doesn't have to be, it can be very simple. It doesn't have to be complex. And you don't have to get to a certain place. Like, again, the illustration that I used, I need a drink, right?
Right.
Which may be unhealthy for us. You've got to, you've got to either get to your drink or you've got your drink in your car or your workplace. Not a good choice.
Right.
Not good choices.
Well, and so what you're talking about there too is that in practicing these internal contained self-soothing skills, you're actually strengthening your connection and trust with yourself.
Absolutely.
Right.
And Lauren, it's not, self-soothing isn't just about feeling better in the moment.
Mm-mm.
If
No.
you do the things that we're talking about today, going to talk about today,
Mm-hmm.
and you do them effectively,
Yeah.
it can also have an important trickle down effect that improves maybe all of your relationships.
Oh, absolutely. And I would argue all of these, it's important to note that they're not just like regulation is not just relief. It's
Right.
important to use them as protection. So, in other words, to use these skills in times when you don't necessarily need them,
Right.
to build that strength, to build that muscle into you so that when you really need them, you have that to fall back into almost as a habit now.
Right.
Yeah.
All of us can understand because we've had them. We're going along okay, and then all of a sudden we have these, something happens,
Right.
and we have these heightened emotional reactions.
The proverbial lion or tiger or bear.
There you go. But oh my! But we've got to understand that emotions, energy in motion. Think of it that way. Emotions are just information, in that they are our first reaction on the inside to something on the outside, to some type of external stimuli, if you will.
Right. And so being able to self-soothe then can interrupt that spiral.
Absolutely.
That impulsive behavior, right?
Yeah.
And it's how you are able to actually change those patterns in real time.
Right. Exactly. So, we're strategies for living, obviously.
Oh, are we?
And we are.
Okay, cool.
And we've got several strategies to share today. And you don't have to do all of them. I mean, you may pick out, that one sounds good to me, or, this one I can do. So and they're all simple. Everything we're going to talk about today is simple. So take a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that is a very effective, almost built-in way to regulate yourself without even realizing it.
And it's ancient, right? It's built into the human.
Right.
And it does it's effective on so many levels, right?
Yep.
I mean, because you've got your whole brain involvement, you're using both sides of your body to do that alternating movement, right?
Right.
And especially if you're walking outside, then you're adding that layer of getting the fresh air, getting the sunlight, being out in nature, right? And expanding that view of your horizon, of your vision, being able to expand that, all of those things. And then if you add on top of that, if you live in a neighborhood where you're walking, all of a sudden you add on to that the community aspect.
There you go.
Because you're likely to see some people, right?
You're kind of getting into the next strategy.
Oh, oops.
Yeah. Which
What's
is
the next
next strategy is just simply notice. So, it's very natural to attempt to minimize stress and just push through, right?
Yes.
Especially for hard emotions. But simply pausing and validating yourself, just noticing, simply noticing.
Yeah.
And it you're feeling stressed, but maybe, you got to, it's the first hour of the day, or I've got 4 hours left. Sometimes you just have to push through. And so, okay, take a pause, and actually on this one, this is all internal. Nobody has to know,
Right. Right. If you're just all of a sudden, if you're able to recognize in the middle of the day, you notice your heart beating really fast.
Right.
Right. Just to notice, whoa, okay, my body is activating.
So just simply noticing, is it my heart beating? Is my stomach churning?
Is my jaw tight, shoulders squinched up?
What's happening in my body? Where am I feeling activation in my body? And, once you find out where you're physically feeling the emotion,
Aim it.
I would even advise, put your hand there and acknowledge the sensations. I know this may sound a little weird, but say thank you to your body.
I hear you.
And
I
because
hear you.
now just putting your hand over your stomach or your heart or whatever is a form of touch. And we know that human touch can be very regulating for the nervous system,
Especially.
and the acknowledgement that it's a step further towards validating ourselves, validating our stress. Our body's a signaling mechanism to us.
And we know this instinctively, right? Because when we stub a toe, what is your first instinct?
Well, I can't say it on the radio.
Well, besides after you scream your expletives,
Yeah.
what's your first instinct?
Hurt. Why did I?
You usually grab it, don't you?
Yeah.
You reach down
Yeah.
and you grab the toe.
Yeah.
It's our instinct to touch and to hold what's hurting, because we know that touch actually helps in the pain pathway.
It reminds me of the old Three Stooges deal where Moe reaches down. One of the other Stooges does something to his foot, and he grabs it and reaches up and starts hopping, and they think he's dancing, and so they start dancing. And hey, that's another
regulation strategy.
That's another
actually.
strategy. This turns out
Do a
there's
little
all
dance.
kinds of them. That's right.
Yeah.
Everybody. I don't know why, but I'm getting the double Dutch bus over and over on my Facebook, and people doing that dance. You want to get some excitement going around work? Start blasting that and do the little dance. We're talking about self-soothing techniques and strategies today here on Strategies for Living. And you know what? We have more. Stay with us.
Tune in daily, find the light. Healthy mind and spirits bright. Strategies for living strong. Feel the vibe, it won't go wrong. Body moves and soul align. Catch the rhythm, feel the time. Radio rehab every day. Chase those clouds of gray away. Your daily dose of radio rehab. Lift you up when
And welcome back into your daily dose of radio rehab. We call it Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian, and we're talking today about, I would like to think that every day we bring imported information and place it in front of all of us. And, a lot of times I worry, Lauren, that, we talk about this stuff, and I worry that some people are saying, well, who are they? But, a lot of days we're talking to ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
We're reminding ourselves of this stuff.
That's part of why we do it.
And you and I are in a significant relationship. We're married.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I would have people understand about the importance of self-soothing. Because if you're in a marriage or a significant relationship, and this could also be in terms of parenting, it could also be
especially in parenting,
right.
Yeah.
So if when you quote unquote lose it, you give your power away.
Correct.
Okay?
Right.
And so whether that's to a husband or a wife or a kid or whatever, well, part of our power is being able to continue to communicate in a healthy way.
Right.
When we react and overreact, we give that power away.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think we also threaten the safety of the relationship.
Absolutely.
Right.
And if I do that enough, I'm probably going to, the relationship is going to suffer in some way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so it's important for each of us to be able to self-soothe in order that we can effectively communicate with one another.
Yeah.
And stay in healthy, loving relationship.
Another strategy is name what you're sensing. This is kind of related to the last one, right?
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Sometimes our emotions feel so intense, and we don't know what to do. Well, in those cases, a little distraction can go a long way, Mm-hmm. A go-to self-soothing skill could be your 5 senses. You've
Yes.
always got those with you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So attune to calming objects. And what am I seeing? What am I hearing?
Mm-hmm.
What am I smelling? What am I touching? You could even do, what are you tasting?
Yes.
Right? And you tune into one or more of your five senses. You know,
An easy one is the hand technique, right?
okay.
So to do 5 things you can see,
Yep.
4 things you can touch,
Okay.
3 things you can hear,
Mm-hmm.
2 things you can smell,
Right.
and 1 you can taste.
Okay.
And the taste
yeah.
can even be as simple as, maybe you can taste something from what you last ate in your mouth.
There you
right?
go. Yeah, or what you last drank.
Right.
You know, it could be as simple as the shirt you're wearing. What does that actually feel like?
Yeah.
If you're in an office, the tuning into sounds of cars on the road outside, or if you're in an office building, what's going on in the hallway? All things like that.
One of my favorite things that I learned to do within myself, actually, because I can get overwhelmed pretty quickly. In fact, I often will bring earbuds places now, right?
Right.
But before I learned that earbuds were a thing, I would play with the sound. If I got really overwhelmed in a place, I would play with a sound tracking it, right? So if I would have this basically a board in my head, a sound board, right? Where I could track out each of the sounds, and I would pay attention. Oh, well, that's coming from the air conditioner. And here's what the voices are on this line, right? And there's some background music playing here, and there's people chatting here, right? I mean, I would track out each in my head as a way to ground, but also to feel like I had some, not really control, but I could see it.
Well,
manage it better.
You can also use your imagination here.
Yeah.
You can visualize a very safe, calm place for you. When I was a kid, I've mentioned before, I grew up right across the street from where we went to church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And church was always a very calm, safe place for me. And so when I'd have trouble as a kid, even when I'd have trouble going to sleep, I would imagine myself in just sitting in the church, and it had a distinct smell.
Oh yeah.
And so, I would bring to mind that smell. On Sundays, it has distinct noises, right? And so I might do that, and then the next thing I know, I'm sleeping. So visualization, and that also works, when you're not trying to go to sleep either. And if when all of that, may seem, well, I can't do that. You're breathing.
Absolutely. All the time.
If you're alive, you're always breathing. You can always just decide to focus on your breath.
Come back to center and focus on the breath. And you can even up the ante, right, by doing a breathing exercise. Right?
There you go.
Something as simple as box breathing, 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold. And you do that repetitively because that's adding another layer, which is that counting, right?
Yep.
And it gives you a place to land.
Yeah. This next one is going to sound too simple to be true.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's change your field of vision.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes most of us are visual people. We've been raised this is a very visual society that we're in and that we've been raised in. And, not all of us are visual learners, but all of us, I think, can learn visually. And so one of the fastest ways to calm our nervous system is to change what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, it's really important if you do a lot of screen time for work or for pleasure. If you've been staring at a screen for a long time, it's incredibly important, we know, that you take breaks to go and look at a farther distance, to be out, just get up and see the horizon for a minute.
Yep. So, I mean, it's just so simple. Just whatever is in front of you that is stressing you, scaring you, whatever it is, look to your right, slowly move your head, and when you move your head, you're changing your field of vision.
Right.
Or you could look up and down from top to bottom.
You're doing another thing too there, I think.
Yeah.
And that is you're telling your body that it's safe.
Mm.
Because a lot of times when we shift into fight or flight or freeze,
Right.
We have a tendency to be very tunnel vision, very focused.
Yep.
Right. And so when you start to look left and right, when you start that scanning, you are actually telling your body, hey, I'm able to look around and use my periphery. And so we're in a safe place to do that.
You just gave me an idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can do the change what you're looking at, change your vision, but add words. Add some words either to yourself in your mind or say them out loud.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm scanning for safety.
There you go.
I am scanning for safety.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing alertness to my attention.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So again, we said this earlier. Our emotions are just they're there. They're designed to get our attention.
Right.
And so when you do that, when you say I'm scanning for safety,
Right.
thank you for bringing
Thank you.
alertness to my attention. What you're doing there is being thankful
Right.
to your body.
I shared this actually. I talked with a client today about this. Sometimes I think of the emotions like little children. Like, you
Yep.
know, have you ever noticed what happens if you ignore a child when they want your attention?
Well, they're going to up the ante.
Right. They
most
often
of the
pitch a
time.
fit and
Yep.
and
Yep.
try to get your attention in a different, often more louder and chaotic way.
Yep.
Right. And so it's important in the same way with your emotions to say, hey, I see you. Right.
Yep.
Thank you for getting my attention. And this is what we're going to do. I can take care of us. Right.
Yep. Yep.
And so that's what you're doing with that, with that affirmation included in the exercise.
Again, this next one may seem so simple.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, well, why didn't I think about this? Press your feet to the floor.
Mm.
You know, the goal with most immediate self-soothing techniques and strategies is to move your focus away from whatever is distressing you. Well, you know, we got our feet on something, usually the floor.
Our feet or bottom. Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, if you suddenly tune to your feet, press your feet firmly into whatever they're on, usually it's going to be the floor, feel the support, notice how whatever you're on feels, notice how the floor feels.
Yeah, the
and then-
texture, the temperature.
Right.
Yeah.
And then focus your awareness down on the bottom of your feet and shift your attention to the top of your feet.
Yeah.
Whatever you put your attention on is what your mind is going to think about, right?
Yeah. And if you're standing, another great exercise sort of in this line of thinking is actually heel drops. And this is really powerful and effective as well. And all you do is if you're standing, you roll up onto your toes, you go up onto your toes and you let your heels drop
Yep.
pretty firmly into the ground.
Yep.
And so you're doing a couple things, right? You're doing that same thing that you would be doing in pressing the feet to the floor because you're paying attention to that contact. But it's a little more jarring, right? And it's a little more intense, but also you're moving energy, right? So if you're in a place where you've got a lot of anxious energy, doing a couple heel drops can be a great way to ground and release some of that extra energy.
We're talking about self-soothing strategies today on Strategies for Living. And you know, when we come back, we got to take a quick break here, Lauren. But when we come back, we're gonna let the butterflies free.
All right.
Yeah,
I like
and
butterflies.
butterflies can be a strategy, a special thing with butterflies. We'll do that next here on Strategies for Living as we talk about ways to self-soothe. That's our topic today here on Strategies for Living. We'll be right back.
We all have problems every day. We all need help along the way. We need strategies for living radio.
Welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Am I stressed or what? I think I need butterflies. Well, welcome.
We're going to release them.
We're going to release them in a minute. Yeah. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. We're talking about ways to self-soothe today. And we talk about, I'd like to think we talk every day about very, very important topics. Today's is extremely important because we live in a reactive world. We live in a world full of stress. And so to be able to self-soothe can be the difference in our relationships at work, in our relationships at home, in our relationship, in the very important relationship with ourselves.
Yeah. And I want to mention, we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I think, many unhealthy ways that we've learned to self-soothe.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of tag and say that self-soothing isn't about escaping your emotions.
No.
Which I think a lot of those unhealthy, quote unquote, self-soothing techniques actually are about escaping emotions.
I used alcohol as an example. If I drink
or
enough,
scrolling, or smoking, or any of those.
Yeah.
If you're using something,
it's an escape.
Yeah, if you're using something to escape your emotions, that's not true self-soothing.
Right.
Self-soothing is about staying with yourself,
staying in life
safely inside the emotions.
Yeah.
Right, and then telling your body, right, that you're safe and that you're here. And that we've got it, right? So it's not about escaping. It's about being
present.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you ever heard of the butterfly tap?
I have.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's an effective strategy. And actually, it's based on, some people know what EMDR is, which is just simply bilateral brain stimulation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a technique that is widely used. In fact, I'm certified in it.
Right.
It's a widely used trauma therapy. And so the butterfly tap is you cross your arms, you place your hands on the opposite shoulder, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly you tap.
Right.
Left, right, left, right, left, right. And you do that 6 times. If you're
as many times as you need.
Yeah.
Maybe for 60 seconds.
Maybe you say, I can't do that. I'm in a public space. Well, okay.
Okay.
Tap your toes, left, right,
or tap
left,
your hips.
right.
I actually used to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or if your hands are down in your lap, you can use your hands, but
tap your thighs.
Tap your thigh. Take a slow breath in, and then tap another 6 times. Again, slowly, left. Right, left, right. It's called the butterfly tap because, again, the way
The crossing.
the crossing that, that you can, so it kind of looks like a butterfly. And, you might be surprised at how quickly this can change your physicality, and so, again, none of these are by themselves the be all end all.
No, yeah.
But they're effective. Many of these, most of these, have worked for me.
Yeah.
Multiple times. And so
I'm going to add another one you can do is actually tense all of your muscles as tight as possible.
Yep.
Right, and then release. Because that signals to your body physiologically that, okay, the bear is gone and I'm safe.
Yeah.
Right? It helps you to shift out.
And that's part of what self-soothing is to remind ourselves, okay, we're safe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of our nervous system that we have to deal with, fight, flight, or freeze, originated when we were running away from saber-toothed tigers, right? And most of us don't have saber-toothed tigers to deal with, that may eat us.
We have the perceived saber-toothed tiger, which comes in the form of our boss or our coworker or the deadline, right?
We tell ourselves that there's a saber-toothed tiger that I'm living with or working with.
And the body responds.
Absolutely it does. Okay, so that leads right into another strategy, which is challenge your thoughts. I mean, this is proven the majority of therapy that is done across the nation is some form of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT,
Yep.
or some variation of it. And so challenging your thinking, challenging your thoughts is a technique from CBT. And the more you do it, the more you learn, and the more you learn and practice it, the more that it can help you and it becomes second nature. Thought challenging skills can help you slow down your emotions. The emotions are driven by your thoughts,
Right.
by your labels.
Yeah, because an emotion is going to be a combination of some thought and a physical sensation.
Emotion, energy and motion, that's a feeling plus a thought. Right? So what you're doing in challenging your thoughts is you're finding alternatives. You're finding and looking for and then finding more balanced ways of looking at a situation, thinking about a situation. And actually, there's a lot, Lauren, there's so much research that has been done on cognitive behavioral therapy. The research consistently has shown this technique can reduce negative emotions and it can improve emotional regulation because it helps people to reinterpret stressful situations.
Well, because so often I think what happens is we have a feeling, a physical sensation, and before we even register that there's a physical sensation, our mind has already interpreted that as something that we have known in the past. It drags up a pattern. Right. And so immediately we're thrown into this loop of thinking, which can very often be not realistic or rational to what we're actually being presented with in the moment.
Right. So let me give an example of this. Let's say that you've just gotten your dream job, okay? You've dreamed of this forever. And the day before you're going to go for your first day at work, the thought comes into your mind over and over and over, I'm going to mess this up. I'm going to really mess this up. This is not going to go well.
Right.
Okay. If you keep that in your mind, you know, there's a pretty good possibility that something will mess up.
Is that true? Right.
Right. That's part of the thought challenge. Where's the evidence? Is that true? Where's my evidence that that's true?
Right.
Challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, where would my life be if I didn't think like that? And, you know, how would my life be different if I didn't think like that? You know, we've run through a lot of strategies today, a lot of self-soothing strategies.
I feel better already.
Good. But the fact is that we left a lot of strategies on the table, so maybe we'll come back to this because, again.
Yeah, I think it's important.
It is
I
important.
don't think many of us were taught.
And if you missed any, remember you can find Strategies for Living in podcast. Just go to your favorite place to download podcasts, put in Strategies for Living, and subscribe. Never have to miss us. We'll be back. More strategies in just a moment. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. You know, a question, and Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian, thank you for being here. A question I get a lot and have through the years is, don't you get nervous when you're about to do a radio show? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Now, you know, I learned many, many moons ago how to do some of what we've talked about today.
Yeah.
Some days are better than other days, but the fact is, you know, when I'm coming to do a program, I want it to be helpful and healthy and vital. And so, yeah, there's going to be a little nervousness. That's normal. but I need to soothe enough to be able to communicate.
Absolutely.
What's your takeaway from today?
Just that self-soothing isn't about getting rid of what we feel, right?
Yeah.
But it's about learning to stay with ourselves through it.
Yep.
And so
Acknowledge it.
Yep. Recognize it, and just take one or two or a few of these and practice them when you don't need them.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea. That's another strategy.
Build them into your day so that when you really do need them, you can whip them out of your back pocket because you've practiced them and you can come back to them.
And if anything you practice enough just kind of becomes second nature, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Lauren, thank you. Folks, thank you. Appreciate you being with us on Strategies for Living, and we appreciate our sponsors who make it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, Azalea Cleaners, Pintail Roofing, Learning RX, We Train Your Brain, the Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage, and pretty good Muffies too, SRT Sales Training, Uprising Addiction Center, and Mira Direct Primary Care. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? And what would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillian, I'm David McMillian. See you next time right here on Strategies for Living.